Sal came up with a topic because he wasn't there for the very beginnings as far as the operation portion of the business. So he asked questions concerning that he asked me that were actually good points. And I said, you know what, man, let's get the tape rolling and some people can learn from this. So you're going to learn about setups, choices that I made early that I probably shouldn't have made, decisions that took me on certain paths, and then things I would change and things I would do differently. So stick around. It's going to be a good one.
All right, man. So at the very beginning, and let's base this off, how long you been in business? The business been 7 years, seven, eight years.
7 years.
Okay, so in 7 years, the detailing industry has made tremendous strides, you would say, right?
Yeah.
Chemical uses, message, knowledge, though,
everything. Yeah.
Everything. Accessibility.
The whole industry, yeah.
Yeah, so kudos to the detailing industry.
It's come a long way since I've been involved in detailing that I'm able to see. So I can imagine what it was like before I started.
And a lot of times we hear the guys that were detailing in the 70s, 80s, right? They're like, you don't need all that stuff. And you don't.
You don't.
And you don't. However, it does make it easier.
It can make life a lot easier.
And if you don't know what you're doing, it can make stuff.
Yeah, it can make some headaches.
You know, some guys don't know how to adjust and they're just like, oh, just give me the good old hand wax. I'll get down like that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, when you started the business, I asked you started out the Subaru. You said, no, I started out on my Audi.
Yeah.
And what did you carry in your Audi?
So I had an Audi S5, which thankfully has a big trunk. It's a 2-door sports car. And I was using the Home Depot, the big tubs. But it was a Husky tub.
Linked?
Yeah, I'll link it in the description. It had that with just a bunch of chemicals in there. Like I had the whole thing. That's how many chemicals I would bring with me.
That shit's wild. Give me a couple things that you were rolling with.
Okay,
the chemicals back in the day. Some O'Reilly joints.
Yeah, it was all O'Reilly. Not some, all O'Reilly. So when I first started detailing, it was just kind of neighbors and people in the area, friends and family. They would bring their cars over to the house, and then I would work on it. And I had the driveway, I had the garage, so I would work out of the garage. I'd be working on the car in the driveway. And they would come pick it up when it was done. And that was never an issue. Or they would hang out in the house, just chill out, whatever. But it wasn't until people started asking me. It was actually a mechanic where I took my car and he had to fix the AC or something. And he said, "Oh, you're a detailer." I said, "Yes, I'm a detailer." And he said, I have clients that, sometimes we're looking to clean the car when we're done with it if I have had it for a while. And also, we have clients that when they pick it up, I want to make it sharp for them if it's certain type of services. So I said, okay. I said, well, here's my card. I could come by, whatever. Back then I had a hustle. I forgot about this, and I don't tell too many people about this because this was the beginning stages, man. You got to get your notepads out if you guys are just starting. So I would go to the shop. It was in San Leandro, right? Like right next to Oakland. So I would go to San Leandro and I would pick up the car, whatever car they were using. And I shouldn't have been doing this because I wasn't insured to be driving these cars. I don't even think I had business insurance at the time. So I picked up the cars and there was a car wash about 2 blocks away.
Oh, okay.
So I would do all of the washing in the car wash bay. So I would do, if you know the Bay Area, parking sucks. Like you're working in essentially a city in an overpopulated area. So parking is always an issue. To park a client's car plus your car, the shop where I went to go pick it up was on gravel. So I wasn't going to do the job there. I did a couple interior jobs there back when I used an extractor and stuff, early days, like nasty work, dirty work. But I was learning and he was my first lead. So anytime he would call, I had to take, I would take it. Okay, cool. We'll do. So I would take the car, drive up the street about, I don't know, maybe 2-3 blocks at the most, go to the car wash, do all the exterior stuff. I had my iron remover, I had my brake buster, I had my soap, my buckets. I was doing everything, from the wash bay. I was in shade. It was a controlled area. I was able to wash it good and take my time. The only problem is, depending on the time of day or if it's a weekend, people don't want to wait for you because you got every D-boy in Oakland waiting for the car to get. They're like, yo, man, I'm trying to wash, my Mercedes. I'm trying to wash, they're trying to get fresh for the weekend. So everybody's just like, yo, man, what's going on? You got to keep moving. So I had to learn to work fast, and I had to learn to go at certain times. So I would go like either right before the sun went down, because you don't want to be out there when the sun goes down. So I'd be there right before the sun goes down, where everybody's kind of leaving. And then this car wash was so busy on certain days where just to get into and it was just a self-serve, 4-bay car wash. And then they had a decent sized parking lot. But it got to the point where the parking lot would get full, and they could probably put about 15 cars in the parking lot. All the parking lot would be full, the bays would be full, and then you would have people waiting, blocking the street because they're trying to come in. So there would be a line. There was days where I just knew I couldn't do work there on certain days. So I didn't take a lot of chemicals those days. And I think I was just running with the brake bus, whatever I heard where if they told me certain things in the advertisement or whoever on YouTube was saying it, like, you don't got to scrub the wheels. Oh, I'm buying it.
Right.
And that's a lie. That's always a lie. It's still a lie, so you always have to scrub. Like there's going to be very, very few times where you don't have to scrub. So yeah, I was taking care of the wash part there. And if I did take care of the wash part on site for like any other client, so that was like my first kind of like connect. That was my first lead generator, and my first feeder client was that shop. Yeah, shout out to my man.
You know who you are.
Yeah. That was when I learned how to build relationships when it comes to networking in this industry, because they weren't detailers, they weren't clients, but it was somebody in the industry. And for somebody who doesn't come from a car, I would say we have car culture, and then you have people that are deeply into the mechanics of stuff, into the paint, into the I would say the tradesmen of the car culture are like, they're usually into car culture too. Like a lot of the detailers we know, they love going to car shows. They love cars. They have a nice car. That's not us. Like, we're not like Jimbo was saying it on the thing. He goes, you have car guys who do, like
talking about the age. It's a 524.
Yeah, it's like, okay. I know a little bit, but it's not, but the community itself is great. So when I started meeting other people within the car community on the trade side of it, it was really cool because there was a lot of support there, because it's almost like for us, we know a dent guy who's the best around. We know a mechanic who's one of the best around. We know the people that we know with are top notch. We know they're going to do a great job. They're going to communicate with you professionally. They're going to give good customer service. So I was learning the value of that. So I had to be very, very dependable. And I always was, but this was now a representation of just me and my business and this thing that I want to create. So I knew from the get-go, no matter how I do it, it doesn't matter. Kind of like, I didn't have the aspirations of anything at first, because I didn't know where it was going to go. It wasn't like, oh, I want to get a mobile unit. Oh, I want to get a van. Oh, I want to get a shop. None of that was even going into my mind. It's like, let me see. I was capturing data. Is this worth my time? Is this going to be too physically grueling on my body? Am I going to be able to handle this at my age? Is this something I could deal with? Do I want to be working mobile at other people's homes? And there was times where I questioned that too, because when you're in a certain area that you're living, I mean, there's some areas where you're like, I don't want to work there. I do not want to work there.
Part of that question that still goes, the big question is this sustainable? Sustainable.
It's always
going to be an unanswered question. You just roll with it.
And I think that's one of the reasons why why my methods have always progressed. Because when you look at it as an operation, from an operational standpoint, you're looking at things and you're saying, this is a waste of fucking time. The 2-bucket method, for instance. I never used the 2-bucket method. Never. Because it was a waste of fucking time. Like, you could go back, watch my YouTube videos. You could, like, there was always things that I was finding solutions for within my business because it was just ridiculous. But I had everything in that crate in the Audi. I had McGuire's rinseless wash. So if I had to do a rinseless wash, or it's a waterless wash, and you just spray it on and wipe it off. I had a ton of towels. I had a whole duffel bag full of just towels. Everything was organized, and but it was a duffel bag full of towels. It was I ordered like two utility duffel bags, and one had my towels in it, and then one had all of my like applicator pads, wash mitts, stuff like that. And then I had one bucket, and in that bucket I had like the specialty stuff, like your polish. And I wasn't polishing with the machine at that time, but I had polish, for like, to do any hand stuff, tire shine, trim restoration, just those, like the specialty products, the stuff that you don't use all the time, metal polish, stuff like that in the bucket. And then in the crate, that's where I had all the other stuff, like the wheel cleaner, the interior cleaner. I was running with like 2 different type of degreasers. I probably had a couple gallons in that joint. Because at that point, when you don't know, I
take everything with me.
Well, you're at a level where you're not super confident with your technical abilities, and new shit's getting thrown at you all the time. So this is one reason why I tell people, like, there's things that you could start off early with that are going to just alleviate, that are going to be able to take care of a lot of those situations. Because when you're buying stuff and you don't know what it's doing and its capabilities, you buy something and you're like, okay, this shit works really good on this, but I can't use it for this, or it just doesn't do what I need it to.
So at what point,
to the level I want
in the business, just want to go over this real quick. At what point, because you were going to O'Reilly's, at what point in the business did you say, okay, O'Reilly's ain't cutting it?
Okay.
I'm doing something wrong here.
I think it was I started having issues with stain removal, because everybody knows when you're first starting out, you're saturating the fuck out of everything. Like, you don't know what you're doing. You're thinking more is better. So I'm in there with McGuire's APC, killing my lungs. Just, harsh. I think I was wearing gloves. I should have been wearing gloves, but I'm in there by hand scrubbing. Like, I know, like, we're talking no drill brush, none of that stuff yet. So I'm in there, scrubbing, trying to get this stuff up. Then I'm following up with the extractor. Like, you see when those cats are just soaking it down, and then they're going with the extractor where it has puddles, and then they put the extractor on, they're putting more. It's like all that shit's just going. So when you don't have proper technique, it makes your job so much harder. And then what's your initial reaction? You're blaming it on the chemicals. Right. Oh, these chemicals, like this is what happens. And people don't want to hear this because they get mad when we tell them, like, stop blaming the chemicals. It's not the chemicals, it's you. Like, no, I know how to do this. I've been doing this for 3 years. It's like, okay, well, you're having the same issues. So that's why I really...
The chemical is going to do what it's supposed to do. Yeah. You're just not doing what you're supposed to do. So like when my man was doing the interior with the rinseless, and he was wondering why he's taking so long, because that rinseless
ain't cutting it. That shit ain't cutting it, brother. Yeah. He's like, I usually got to do it like 3 or 4 rounds.
Well, that's why.
Like, no shit. Yeah. But that was, I shouldn't say, I didn't mean it like that. It's just, in my mind, I'm saying that because I know that. But when you're starting out, you don't know that. And I did that so much. And that's why I'm the way I am with a lot of these guys. Like, we're straightforward. Like, yo, that right there, that shit got to go. Like, just get rid of that part, and you're saving a half hour on top of everything right now. Or you're saving, X amount of labor, like time and effort scrubbing. It's like giving them like a cheat code. Like, no, get rid of that process, incorporate this process, and see like the guys that go in with the brushes and they're not using the Scrub Ninja. Same thing. There's still guys out there brushing, the whole seat like this. That's cool if you got time and you want to, and we'll do it in here. If we got a Ferrari in the shop and we're just, in the studio taking our time, chilling, no big deal. We know it doesn't need a lot of work. But if this thing got to get like levels and rounds, we're not going to be wasting our time with no O&R trying to clean the seats and stuff. You can clean seats with O&R, but don't expect it to do what some dedicated cleaners are going to do for that. O&R is it's like a soap. Yeah, it's going to clean, but is it going to clean better than Polestar?
No,
definitely not. I think when I started messing with a lot of the carpet cleaners and upholstery cleaners and the stain removers and noticing that stuff wasn't working. And also, I took the PNS class. Shout out to Steven at PNS because when I met Steven, that was the first time I had been to like a professional detail supply store. So I knew what I needed and I was good at communicating what I needed. Like, hey, I'm having an instance like this. This was the situation. This was the temperature. This is, he's letting me know, hey, the chemical's flashing on the surface. Yeah. He's like, here, start off with this and this. And I remember a lot of the times too, I would call Steven while I was working. Like, hey, Steven, I'm having this issue. He's like, hey, just try this or whatever. Or come by the shop and pick this up or, blah, blah, blah. And I'd go by, pick it up. So then the next time I had it, I would be able to knock it out of the park. It wouldn't be a problem. So that was a big help for me. And Steven pushed me to do one of the trainings with Rennie Doyle. So I took the 1-day training, and during that training, they showed the 3-step process. So that was when I was like, okay, it's time. Like I was getting as good as I was able to get with what I had. So at that point, I had kind of like, I'm growing out of that level and my technique is getting better to where now I need the tools and the chemicals that could complement my technique. Because my technique right now at this point is outperforming the equipment and everything that I had. I didn't have a Tornador. I didn't have, I'm doing very basic stuff. So once I got the drill brush in my hand, once I got the 3-step system in my hand, it was, at that point, I felt super confident that I could do probably better interior. And I got some nasty work. Like, I mean, like the nastiest. Like, you guys think you saw nasty? Like, there's some shit that, geez, I don't even go to my Instagram, Details Auto. Go look at the old shit. Go look at that stuff. We've done some nasty cars together, but I've done nastier than that. Like, remember when you were working the other job still and you came and met me?
Yeah.
That job, yeah. That was some nasty work.
That was some real nasty
That was some nasty work. But I probably did about 20 of those alone before you.
How about doing the towel pimping?
Yeah, but probably more than that. But for me, by myself, when I'm doing it because it's my only source of income. And I'm also thinking this shit is, even in the worst conditions, doing this stuff is better than the amount of stress I'm getting at my other job.
Right.
So I was happy to be doing, and I had my headphones on.
This dirt don't talk back to me.
Yes. This dirt don't show up late. Yeah. All that stuff. It's just, it was for me at that point, it was truly, you can imagine how some of these guys, how like when you're polishing and stuff and you get in the zone, you get in the zone. So imagine being in that, well, you were there. You've been in that zone before and you don't have the mental like stress on top of it. It's like I could do this all day compared to the stuff that I was doing before. It was nothing to me. So those nasty, dirty ones, I just knew, okay, after I get this, the way I was looking at it was, once I get this done, I'm going to learn how to do this shit now. And I'm going to be faster the next time I have to do something like this. Now when we do disaster details, it's like 2 hours, 2-3 hours, and it's done. Like, I'm talking as good as it's going to get. 2-3 hours for us, that's about as long as we do a detail. And back then, I was doing the details. I remember getting to houses around 8 o'clock and like leaving when the sun's going down. I remember not eating, not going to the bathroom, not drinking water, nothing like for, 8, 9, 10 hours on one car. So there was definitely and I can contribute that to pretty much not me understanding materials, not understanding chemical use, not understanding application, not understanding the capabilities of what it is you're using. That's why it's very important to, if you're going to start detailing, buying things kind of within a system, because those things within a system are going to give you the foundational things that you need. That was what attracted me originally to the Rennie Doyle line. It was, Meguiar's they got the gold class line. They got the professional line. They got this line. They got that. Everybody has all these different lines now. But the Rennie Doyle one was specifically for the detailers. Like, okay, interior cleaner, that was always an issue too. Like when I'd go to O'Reilly's, I'm like, okay, well, this is saying interior cleaner. What the hell's the difference between an interior cleaner and an interior detailer? What's the difference between? So there wasn't a lot of information like that out on the internet, close to 10 years ago. So now it's saturated. Now everybody will tell you, what every single product is that comes out. They'll tell you shit you don't care about with it, You got some Cambodian breast milk. Got all the ingredients all crazy. So 2%. What do they call them? The surfactants. Whatever. But that's how deep people get into it now, deep into the chemistry. But back then it was like, okay, you got these two choices. This is it. And the stain removal stuff definitely halted, because the exteriors, you're going to get better and better and better with the exteriors in polishing. Even if you did a shit job and you marred it up during the decon phase, a polish is always going to make a car look so much better. So it's not, I think the interior stuff was a lot more difficult because there's so many different materials. And there was just so many. And then you got people like chemical guys who's telling you need 15 different things. Oh, I need something for my mats. I need something for my leather. I need something for my carpets. I need something for my headliner. I need something for my glass. I need something for my screens. I need something for my cup holders.
Chemical guys was advanced for their time.
Yes. They were the ones. Yes, they were. They were. And shout out to chemical guys for that. I know a lot of people clown on chemical guys, but that they were the, like I tell Sal, they were like the Soldier Boy of detailing, because remember when Soldier Boy came out, those of you who remember, everybody was like, you're the death of hip hop, man. And it was some corny whack stuff. Like I didn't like it, but now in retrospect, when you see him talking, he's like, I was the first person on YouTube. You
talk about marketing. He was the marketing genius.
Well, he was just when it comes to innovation.
LimeWire, what was the streaming?
Yeah,
thing? He would put all
the hot artists.
Tupac, Biggie, and it'll be his music.
Yeah. So when it comes to like downloads, streaming, and it comes to
you get this new Biggie and Soldier Boy,
and YouTube and the YouTube money. Like now that's standard. Now it's like you go straight to YouTube.
Yeah.
So that was, so it's kind of like people give chemical guys the bad rap, but chemical guys to me is kind of like, I look at it as like a gateway drug. It's like, okay, this got me in the door. This got me interested. Okay, you're telling me this? Oh, I never knew that. Because it did kick a lot of knowledge.
And shout out to them again, because first-time clients or even repeat clients, when you get to know them, show up on the scene, they take care of their car, and the first thing they say is, "Hey, I use chemical guys. What you guys use?" Because that's the hot thing.
Or Adams.
Yeah, they're like, "Yo, you know what I'm saying? What do you think about that?" And it's like, "Oh, that's cool."
Because that's top notch for consumer.
Yeah.
So a lot of that confusion, I bought some Chemical Guy stuff too. I liked their soaps at the time because at the time, the foam, everybody wanted the foam, and they had their shit foamed up the most.
When you see the foam, I'm in the zone.
I'm in the zone, and it was their shit smelled good too. Like they always had like the fruity smells and it made things more pleasant. Their branding was a little bit more fun. The colors of their liquids, it was just.
And obviously, you probably see a little different performance.
Yes, from the O'Reilly stuff to the Chemical Guys. Yes, there was. It wasn't a huge jump, but there was some big differences.
Chemical Guys back then. 7 years ago, that was at O'Reilly's, or you had to go somewhere
No. They didn't have it at O'Reilly's back then.
Okay.
And they didn't have it at Walmart and stuff back then either. A few years later, after I started, then I started seeing it pop up at Walmart, and even like the Jay Leno stuff. That stuff started popping up at different places, and there was even some brands that weren't there at all, and now they're at O'Reilly's and stuff that are kind of that it was back then. You know what kind of brands it was? It was New Finish, it was Mother's, Griots, Turtle Wax. Griots actually had some stuff there, like not a lot, but they would have a couple things.
Armor All.
Yeah, Armor All, Meguiar's. They didn't have any of the Meguiar's professional stuff. So even the auto parts stores and stuff now, in the big box stores, they've even stepped their game up to where it's
they
like
got a whole aisle now.
Yeah, but it's like they have the professional line of Meguiar's. They have some stuff that's a little bit second level type of stuff that's that it can fallout removers. Nobody was selling a fallout remover to a consumer. Everybody was that was for professionals only. And fallout, I remember when I started, fallout removers became really, really big. The color changing stuff. Like I wanted the wheel cleaners. I had the color changing stuff. I'm like, man, I want that. Because you would see that they would have one that'd be all dusty and then it bleeds out. Oh man,
so it's working.
Oh yeah. That was a marketing behind it. But it was and that stuff was it still is, but it was really, really expensive at the time. But before that, it's just like everybody was using Crystal Wash. Crystal Wash is an OG product, so all the painters and stuff, oh man, just hit it with some Crystal Wash. If you're not gonna clay, Crystal Wash was like because it's a fallout remover. But the chemicals that I was running with before I got the Rennie Doyle one, it was just real basic stuff. And none of it was consistent. It was all different types of shit. I had Super Degreaser, who Darren from Auto Fetish told me to get. He said Super Degreaser and all-purpose cleaner. So it's the green one and the red one. So those were 2 gallons that you could pretty much do an entire car. That was like Polestar Green Star. That's exactly what it's like. But kicked up a little bit more. Like the degreaser, it was a degreaser. Green Star is a APC. So just think something like the level of something in between an EnviroClean and a Hot Shot. So that was their degreaser that I was using. And the APC was more like Green Star than Polestar. So you can imagine you could tear some shit up if you don't know what you're doing easily. So I was discoloring black stuff, everywhere. So I'd always have to take trim restorer with me.
Had that drip all the way down the panel, that nasty drip. Ugh.
So all of those things they were causing me issues. So when I took the training and before I took the training, Steven was putting me up on game, and he would give me stuff, he'd be like, here, try this, he'd give me a free bottle of something, try this and let me know what you think about it, and everything that he would give me would make such a big difference. I'm like, man, I was like, okay, I just got to get all, and I remember the first time I felt when I was like, oh man, I'm going all PNS now, because I had tried other stuff too. I tried the Meguiar's professional stuff, obviously. That's what I was working with. I tried some Eagle Car Care. The 303. Have you ever heard of the 303 protectant? Mm-hmm. Like that was real big at the time. But I tried some of their products.
I think of an R&B girl group when I hear 303.
303, 702. Yeah. Around that time, after I took the training, I was like, okay, it's a wrap. It's just because I was already sold on the 3-step. So I was like, let me try everything else. But once I heard the Express that you could put on everything, I was like, why don't they all make them like this? Now they're all like that.
When you discover PNS and you say, okay, I ain't fucking around no more. PNS is it for me. Mm-hmm. Did you still have the Audi, or did you transition to the Subaru?
I still had the Audi. But I had so much of the other shit left over. For like 2 years, I was trying to go through. Even now, when we do our cycle, like we got to give stuff away because it's like we have so much shit. And I don't like holding on to stuff. Like I like my life to be just minimal. So when we have all these products, we'll use them all. But then there's some stuff. It's like I'm never gonna go through all of this. Sometimes it's a polish. Sometimes it's some of the other stuff we can kind of use in Frankenstein, maybe mix it with another one for like fleet work, like for the tire shine or something, even soaps, as long as they're all neutral, fuck it, just put all the soaps in. But this other stuff, I was trying so much shit and all the shit was crazy at that time. Ceramic was jumping off. So everything new that came out had some type of ceramic soaps and all that shit would just leave your finish streaky as fuck when you're done with the cars. Like those things ended up becoming more problematic for me because I'm trying to use this stuff as a professional and I'm seeing things as a professional that, that the average consumer DIYer probably wouldn't see. They wouldn't see those black streaks and smudges because they were very, very faint. They were hard. They're still sometimes hard for me to see. And then but when you get the eye for it, you see it, and that's why we didn't use a lot of the SiO2s for so long, the spray sealants and stuff. But they were putting them in everything back then. Rags to Riches wasn't even out. So I was washing my towels all wrong. Yeah, so those things would contribute to the smudging and stuff like that, if you're not cleaning the sealants out and stuff. My towels were getting hydrophobic. So there was a lot of issues I was having. But as you learn more, all of that stuff matters. All the stuff that I had spent the most money on was all just useless shit that I didn't need. And we're talking hundreds and hundreds of dollars over the first 2 years, just simply on chemicals and stuff that I maybe used 1 or 2 times and was just, this is just trash. If I would have went to a training immediately at one of these shops or something, reached out, took one of those trainings, could have saved me all that money. Like the class would have paid for itself. Plus, and there's guys that are in that, and I wasn't in that transition period that long. It felt long because it sucked.
Oh yeah, when you work sun up to sundown, it's a long time.
Yes. So that messed with me a lot because I was getting to the point where it's like this. I don't know if I want to do this shit. This shit's too much work. But once I got the right stuff in my hand and my technique just kept getting better and better.
Got your swagger back and all that.
I was like, okay, I could get down like this. This to me is fun. But it was just constant progression. But yeah, the O'Reillys and stuff like that, for me, it was a quick progression out of that. It wasn't, I already knew this ain't it once Steven started handing me stuff and I started buying stuff from him.
So what did you do? Because the Audi started giving you problems, like all Audis. Mm-hmm. Get to a certain mileage, give you problems. So you're running the detail business, and the Audi was giving you problems, and you were running your business out of your Audi. How did you cope with that?
Well, most of the time I had people coming to me, so I didn't really have because there was a period of time where my car was in the shop for like 6 months. Because they were ordering parts from Germany and it was major stuff that had to get done. So I just wouldn't go to them. They would come to me. And that wasn't problematic because at the time, the location I was in, they could be in Berkeley next to the stadium. That could be like really terrible areas, depending on.
So they didn't want you to come over there anyway.
Well, I'm just talking like parking and stuff. Like, it's a nice area, but like as far as trying to maneuver and stuff, it's like it's almost impossible. So, or if a client's in San Francisco, I'm not trying to deal with that. So I kind of knew once I got rid of the Audi, well, I had already planned. I'm like, okay, cool. This car, I'm gonna get it fixed. I'm gonna have it sit. It's just gonna be the garage clean. I'm not gonna really mess with it. I'll get something else, And at the time, I was working a part-time job in San Leandro still, which I was just riding my bike to and from, which it was really good. It was very, very, very calming for me. And, but yeah, I wasn't doing a lot of mobile work at that time. They were coming to me, which was fine because I didn't want to be in certain areas. Like at that point, I had done so much work around the Bay Area to where I had familiarized where I don't want to work already. So I was like, okay, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Don't cross a bridge. There was a lot of things I was starting to kind of slim down on, and I was kind of pushing them to come to me. So they did that for a while until I moved out here. When I moved out back here, that's when I said, okay, it's time to get, I need something to be able to, this isn't working. So I didn't know, I was looking at trucks first, and then I started looking at SUVs because I was looking to get rid of the Audi altogether already. And I fell upon the Subaru. So the Subaru was perfect. And that was like the second level for me when it comes to setup and
upgrading.
Yeah, just upgrading everything.
Okay, so again, we talked about the last 10 years detailing has skyrocketed as far as all aspects. Now you went from your Audi to the Subaru, and then eventually the Subaru to the rig. Uh-huh. Would you redo all that over? Like, people say, I want to get a rig. Uh-huh. Like, again, the advances in builds have come a long way. Like, people are getting down out of their own personal vehicle. Yeah. Like, to me, that seems more, what's the word I'm looking for? That seems more practical. Depending on how you want to get down.
Yeah, because it's definitely more accessible. If you already have the vehicle, right? You could start making money right now, like a lot faster, and really work efficiently and organized. You got guys like Revibe out there that can. You tell him whatever car you have, he could probably turn something in about a month. That wasn't the case with me, and there are some things I would change, and then there's some things I reverted back to that I had got. For instance, the sprayer for the tire shine. Remember we did that for a while.
The air compressor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then I went back. I said, "This is not it. Yeah, it's not it. It's just not working for me."
Too many problems with that, huh?
Yeah. Well, that's it becomes another point of failure or potential point of failure. So the more you are kind of lean, the better it is. The more reliable things tend to be. But when it came to the Audi, that was just, I knew something. I knew that was not going to be it was just kind of a crazy idea altogether, just to want to detail. And then it's like, well, how are you going to do that? It's like, oh, well, I got this car. It has a trunk, and and I've seen guys do it before with nice cars because that's all they have. It's like, well, this is all I got. I got to start. But a lot of thought went into the Subaru. First of all, the Subaru has a back trunk. It has a back seat. So at that point I started carrying a pressure washer with me. So I had and I had these Husky containers that rolled, and the handle pulled out. Those joints were nice, and they were stackable. So I'll link those in the description. But those things, I had the pressure washer in one, with the pressure washer hose wrapped up in one of them, and then in the second one, I think I had my vacuum. No, my vacuum was on top. The second one, eventually, when I got to that point, had the steamer in it, and then the vacuum I had on top. So literally everything, most of the equipment I needed was in, or big pieces. So it's easy. And it didn't look sloppy and I would use it as a bench or a stool, or if I needed to stand on top of the car, or I would just put it behind my tablecloth, or put it underneath. So everything looked clean, it looked organized, and I had everything, and I was able to set up a lot faster because I'm grabbing those, putting them on the ground, pulling them to wherever I need. Water hose. I had a water hose in the other one too, because I'd have to hook up the water hose to the pressure washer. So that's when a lot of the efficiencies kind of started to come into place, because it's like, okay, I know what I got to do for this first thing, what I had to do before. Now I need to make it so much faster because I'm wasting so much time on setup and breakdown.
So you got the pressure washer, and obviously with the pressure washer, a new tool, you're learning things too. I'm pretty sure you're learning with hoses, trigger guns, all that. You're just like, it starts all over again.
And I'm sorry, and I'm using the cheap stuff, like the ones where it just stays. It doesn't. It's not. So at some point, it was almost
they marketed that genius.
And again, here's another solution that I came across, and there were some guys using them, but not very many. Like very, very, very few. It was even hard to find this, and that's when I found Flexzilla. So when I found Flexzilla, I said, okay, this can make my life easier. So I got the Flexzilla retractable hose. So I'm no longer messing around with winding up hoses. I got the retractable hose that goes into the spigot through to my pressure washer. I didn't have a DI system, but it goes through to my pressure washer. And then I have a Flexzilla hose for my pressure washer. So that I'm not worrying about kinking anymore because it doesn't have any memory. So that made things so much easier right there. And then obviously quick releases on everything. Everything. I said, because having to do this with the pressure washer,
you don't have very much room. You don't have very much room. Your hands are wet too.
Yeah, it's just like you're doing this. You got to take it off the gun, and then you got to take it off
all messed up.
Yeah, it's just not like that. Doing that in itself, and then if you've ever bought quick releases, you know how that fucking story goes. You always buy the wrong ones. The fittings are always, there's so many different, they just need to make a universal fucking fitting for all of them.
Male, female,
it
tips touching.
Yeah. Oh, Keeve. Nasty. So I'll throw that up there. I'll put it on there. So you have all so yeah, the pressure washer gives you a lot of issues if you've never used one before. So, and then you're also increasing your noise. And at that point, that's when I really started using the generator. I was using the generator before, but back to the car wash. So I'm gonna tell you. So I did still have the Subaru when I was still. So the guy from San Leandro. So this is a few years later, right? Maybe like 2 years later. But the guy from San Leandro with the body or with the shop would call and say, "Hey, I have a customer, so and so." So I would still go out there and do the jobs for him that he needed because he was one of my only reliable leads that was somewhat consistent. And it wasn't very consistent. Maybe once a month, but it was something. So I didn't want to lose that relationship because you never know where it's going to go. So ended up getting the Baja, getting everything. I even have a picture on my Instagram, I think, of the Baja when I washed it up for the first time at that body shop or at that car wash. But what I would do was I would go take care of his job, right, at the car wash, go drop the car off, and because I'm not doing anything at that point, I'm not doing anything for free. Like they weren't paying me a lot to begin with, so I'm not gonna, polish a car if they're not paying for it. And so I would take the car back, but if I was gonna hit traffic or something on the way home, there was a few times where I said, I'm trying to think of things to either promote myself. And I think at this time I'm like probably every restaurant I'm going to or whatever, I'm just leaving cards, on the counters or the bulletin boards, thinking that's what marketing is. Yeah. Like I know what marketing is, but I've never done it for a small grassroots business. So I don't know what the outcome is going to be. So I'm trying to do it real safe right now. And also I don't know if I really want to, like, I'm not all in on this shit. I'm still am, but it's still barely paying the bills. I'm probably talking year 2, and I'm learning how to polish at this time. I'm really learning how to polish. And
what polisher are you running with?
I had the Meguiar's one first. That was a piece of shit, and it's loud and vibrates a lot. Then I had the Adams Swirl Killer, the 15. Didn't like that. And then I had I had all the Adams. I had the Adams 3-inch and the Adams Nano too. All of those, that was like my first introduction to like a 15 millimeter standard like polisher. People had them at that time. I think, MacShine had theirs. Griots had one. Porter Cable has theirs or whatever. And I was going to buy it was a Meguiar's and something else. I think it was the Meguiar's and the Adams that I debated to. And I was like, well, Adams has a professional line at least, and they're saying this is a good polisher, whatever. But it was like $219 or whatever. And the Adams one was a little bit more, and it looked bigger and heavier or whatever. And the other one just looked sleeker, and it was smaller. So I was like, okay, that's better for me to put into my cases when I go detail. So I'm keeping in mind efficiency, things that are easy to use, things that are easy to operate, things that are portable. Those are all the things going forward because I have limited space in the Baja. When I finished the jobs that they were giving me at the shop, I would go back to the car wash because there's people washing their car there, and I'd have my generator with me. Throw that thing in the back of the bed of the car. Have the extension hanging out the side, and I would just polish the Baja. I would just be there with like old white pad and, just a cleaner wax, just hitting it. And that thing shines. Like it still shines to this day. And I was out there, and I'd be out there just polish, just real quick, just so people there would have me wax their cars. Because you got to remember, those guys are getting their cars, the car's clean.
Yeah. So all the work is done.
The car is clean.
All the work is done.
So all I got to do, so they see me. Hey man, can I get one of them polished? Can I? How much for that wax? How much for that? And they would be in their car, and I would just let them know, hey man, $30. And but I would say one pass. It's one pass, one quick pass. I'm not removing nothing. I'm just making this thing shine.
I'm sure they wanted you to do it quick because you go to a car wash, you don't plan on staying there all day. So they're just like,
so they would be
quicker the better.
They would be in there with their windows up on their phone, whatever. And I would just go to town, and I'd make a couple $100. I did that. I want to say maybe like 4 or 5 times. And I'd make a quick $100 in maybe 3 hours, and then I'd just be out. Okay, I'm good for the day.
Man, we should do that. We should just do it like let's plan for that.
Well, guys partner up with car washes, and they say, okay, I'll be here at a certain time on these days, like on Fridays or something, and then they're there. Well, we can do it easily now because we're all cordless. That ain't shit. Because I would have to be like, okay, you got to pull in over here. My extension cord don't go, or I would have to move my car to get to them. But yeah, shit, you can have everything on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Little bottle of that rehab. And
I would like to get them before they come in the car. Well, hey, can you do me after? Like, oh yeah, but we got to clear your shit real quick. Maybe real easy. Real easy.
I don't want to do none of that.
I don't be real quick, son. They're going to help. They're going to help. I'm going to need you to, why not?
That would be really easy to do.
Yeah.
To do,
everything is there.
Yeah. So it was that was all a learning experience for me. It was fun, but
that's real easy too. SUV. I ain't doing the top.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I don't want the top.
Yeah.
You just say everything right there.
Yeah. And I was just out there, and the weather in San Leandro, you're like a steady 75 every day. It's nice. So you're not having to deal with like extreme cold or extreme heat, and you're not working late because the car wash itself, you can't be on the property during certain hours. So I think like 6 o'clock or so, because it was kind of in a residential area. So I want to say like at 7 o'clock, everything shuts down. Like they cut the breakers on, the lights go off, everything. So you can't use a vacuum, you can't use nothing. So people would have to leave. So as soon as the sun goes down, okay, I ain't gonna be here much longer. Like I'm just gonna, because some people would be like, hey man, I would be like 2-3 people deep where, hey man, let me get mine. And the price would go up. All right.
So there you go. You're slow. You're thinking about ways to get some more business. Go to a car wash with bays and then park to the side and just start polishing something. I bet you're going to get some hits.
Yeah. For sure you will. I just wouldn't go to like the big chain ones.
Yeah.
Because they don't want none of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm talking about just hey, nobody there. Let's a little rundown.
Yeah, I was doing it real Mexican style, just real
Migos tires.
Real Migos tires with this one. That's how it's getting down. But you gotta you can't be afraid to talk to people. That was a big thing for me, where I had worked customer service for so long, where most of the people from the previous job, most of the people that wanted to come and talk to me, there were about 3-4 degrees deep into a problem already. So by the time they came and see me, because I was the top person that they needed approval for to get whatever it was done. They knew if they talked to me, it's either going to get done or not. So they were kind of like, I got to give everything. I got to convince this person of whatever. So it was always difficult conversations. 90% of the conversations I would have on a daily basis were difficult. So for me to talk to somebody or someone approach me,
it's no longer difficult.
No, at that point. It's nothing. It's like a hello. It's like, okay, whatever, cool. You gonna be mad? Sorry, nothing I can do about it. But it was kind of like when they say you pay your dues. During those times, I felt like I was paying my dues.
You didn't pay your dues
because I was getting practice. I was doing things and I was progressing. And that was my time, because that shit was hard, man. That shit was really hard, and I give it up for all the detailers that stick through for 2 years, because it's rough the first 2 years. You had it easy.
I know.
The first 2 years.
That's why I moved. That's why I did the move.
Yeah, you had it easy because you didn't have. You're like, man, well, my man did all the work, so yeah, I'll join you. I'll make some easy money too. No, but it was, it was very difficult at times. There's times where I wanted to give up, and then, as I'm working at that level, I started to work with Nico and Jake. That was the first time where I picked up employees, and I actually had somebody assisting me. The brothers, I had Joseph. Joseph was a first. I always forget. Joseph was my very first employee. So shout out to Joseph. So I had Joseph. He's the youngest brother. So Joseph worked with me, and then I had Jake, and then Nico. And Nico still works with us from time to time.
Your brother-in-law for a little bit.
Oh yeah, Yael. Yael helped. Yael was working with me for a while too. Yeah, I forget Yael was working. So a lot of the guys, when they were in high school and then when they were in college, like their college years, stuck around, and because it was good money, they would work with me. It was fun, but they would see the progression too.
And it's always fun, man, when you bring some young blood around. Yeah. And there's always some good dialect there. You hear about the
conversation's a little different. Yeah, you're kicking knowledge.
You hear about all the stuff that they're getting into with the girlfriends.
Yeah, we're just giving all that old head advice. This is what you need to do, youngster. You need to quit playing around. What you need to do is
save your money.
Yeah. Tell them all the shit they don't want to hear. All the stuff they're not gonna do. All the shit we didn't do, we didn't listen to. Yeah. So it was.
That's why I just say the drugs you need to be doing. You're already gonna do them.
Yeah. So during the time with Nico and those guys, that's when I started. That allowed me to focus more on process. So I said, okay, now I just focus on process because I can make this job a lot easier than it is.
Well, yeah, process, because you got a new route, or you got something different in the business. Yeah. So it's no longer the same anymore. So you got to focus on.
Yeah, process changed completely when you incorporate anything into the business. It should. Otherwise, you're gonna. Otherwise, it halts you.
Right. If you're
not doing it, if you get a person, the resources.
Yeah. If you get another resource and you're doing things the exact same way, I'm telling you right now, you're.
Yeah. You should be solving. If you're ever working, and you have somebody standing around waiting on you, or waiting for somebody else, or waiting for a process to be done, you're not managing your resources properly. Like, they could be allocated doing other things and being productive while, whatever it is that they're waiting for. Like, that's just bad management, period, and leadership. So I see guys like that all the time, where they're just, well, every time I hire somebody, they're just standing there. There's nothing for them to do.
That's on you.
You're going to tell me there's nothing for them to do. Yeah. You haven't broken down your process enough to figure that out. You're not even thinking ahead far enough to have them do anything.
And vice versa. If you're that help that that get called upon for assistance and you're saying there's nothing to do, that's bad on the assistant person too. Yeah. It takes a higher
they should be like, they should be doing something. Yes. Take that initiative, but that's not the norm, right? I should say. But so as a business grows, there's a need for process improvement. There's a need for upgrades. There's a need for, and at that time I wasn't even using compressed air. I didn't use compressed air until we got the rig. So, that just shows you right there. My skills at that point, I was still delivering good skills, but was it the best that I could give? At the time it was, with what I had. So when you go up another level, it's completely different. But at the time also, I was running with a very good quality steamer. My process was really good. My techniques were good at that point. But I didn't know what I was missing with air. And when you get air and you incorporate that on top of it, it's like, okay, now I'm at another level. Because now I'm cleaning and now I'm detailing already I'm detailing a detailed car at this point. Because where my end used to finish, now there's an extra step in there that's ensuring, that's cleaning up even more, which is pretty much kind of like, a refinement of the completed job that I was doing previous. So at that point, you're upping everything, your quality, your value, your finishes, your outcomes. So that's one of those incremental steps where at those points in the business is when I tell people to raise their prices. When and you're doing something differently, okay, now it's time to. Because now that becomes standard in my business and it takes more time to do, but it's giving a better result.
Some folks, you say you're doing something differently. Well, my finances have changed differently. Yeah. So I'm changing my prices.
Yeah. Oh, I had a baby, so I'm raising all my prices. Then people do that. People do that.
Child support. Got to raise these prices.
And I understand that's part of business, but again, you want to, if you're in this for the long term, you want to remain ethical. You don't want clients to be paying for your inadequacies. And a lot of the times guys do that based off of their financial situation because they don't handle their finances properly. So again, they're going to, like how I told you how some restaurants will charge more. Like somebody orders a bunch of seafood, they got to sell it quick. So that price is going to be high at the beginning, but now they just got to sell it to try to recoup. But if they drop that price at all, they're losing money. So they keep it there and people cut corners and stuff. You can eat some bad seafood. That's, people do shit like that in businesses and it's dirty, it's foul. And usually guys like that just don't stay around long because your quality is not matching the value that, there's like, I feel ripped off. When people feel ripped off, they just stop going to you. But yeah.
It's that simple.
It's not simple. When people feel ripped off, they're either not going to go to you or you're going to stop getting clients. Period. That's it. Nobody likes to feel ripped off. So do you want to talk about the rig or going back to what I changed? Oh, the original question was if I would change from so what I would do knowing what I know now, because you think you need a lot of stuff. Oh, I need more space for this. I need this. Through the tools. And because at a certain point, you're like, okay, all the chemicals that I got, I need. Now let me fuck with these tools because there's a lot of cool tools out there. So you want to have all the tools, all the stuff, but then you realize you don't really need all that stuff. You only need a few simple things. Give me air, give me steam, and give me the right chemicals. A scrub pad and some high quality towels. I'll get the job done. When we do work now, there's some jobs where it's like, all I used was because you become so efficient. You know how to use everything so good. There's more precision in your work. So whenever there's more precision, you're going to be more efficient with everything, with your movements, with the way that you operate, with the amount of products you use, with the amount of with the amount of supplies that you're incorporating in the job, all of that stuff becomes, if we're doing if now when I do interior details, I'm carrying a bottle of Polestar and one towel. One towel, actually 2 towels. One towel for the cleaner areas, and then one towel for the grimier areas. Like that's all I need for an interior. Maybe a brush, if that. And I could get pretty much everything good. You know, we're talking about after blowing it out, after doing a blowout and stuff. You know, then we don't just finish it with steam. But before, I would be like, I need the scrub ninja. I need this, like every single time.
Drill brush.
Yeah.
Get those 4 brushes over here.
And there's a lot of guys that we consult with that do the same process for every single car. And that's where you start to lose money, because a lot of these cars that you're doing, if you're doing a maintenance every 2 weeks, it's very unlikely you're going to have to be pulling out the drill brush, even the vacuum, every time if you have compressed air. And you're probably not going to have to use a ton of, you're not going to be spraying you're spraying the towel and wiping down.
Man, that's why I like trucks. Doing. Trucks, you don't need a vacuum. You just get the blow gun and just blow that shit out the car.
Yeah.
Out the truck.
Yeah. If you're getting it out, you're getting it out. You know, there's a lot of techniques that you learn throughout repetition where you're just kind of like, okay. And then you're able to you should be able to identify everything before you even start the job. What I need, what tools you're going to go with, the approach, all of that, the application. Okay. How am I going to do this? What am I going to pair it with? And that's going to be the result. You should already know that through experience, but that all comes through tracking. That all comes through, if we see a repeat client, Sal will be like, hey, don't forget this, because remember, this client has 3 dogs. Oh, okay, cool. So we're prepared.
That's another thing about good data and good clientele. We know the retention rates in the 98th percentile. We know this client's going to come back, so might as well just protect everything.
Yeah. Makes your job easier. Yeah, makes your job easier. We have a job coming up next week, and the individual, he's been one of my clients since I first started. So he has everything protected, coded. It's going to be probably like an hour and a half job. A job that used to take, some of the jobs for this client, I remember at the beginning, it would take me like 5-6 hours. He was one of those ones where I'll come back tomorrow. He would come back the next day and pick it up. And I would be happy because that would give me more time with the car, because I would need it. So there's those levels. But as far as, the rig, would I do the rig again? Probably not. I would probably go like the Revive route based off what I know now. But it's like how we compare, like, the guys that want to be a boss. You get up here and then you realize
that ain't it.
I don't need all that. Like a locksmith. Let's say a locksmith. I've seen locksmiths come in with one bag, and I've seen locksmiths that have like a whole truck, and they have so much stuff in that truck that they need. Or I think any kind of tradesman, depending on what your style is, what your expertise is, what we do right now for a living with details. When it comes to the detailing portion, we don't need a van.
No.
We don't need a van.
No.
And all of our really high-end clients, those clients, all we take is our 2 bags. We have our carbon bag and we have our Rupes bag. And we have a table. That's what we work with. That's all we need for those.
We might as well be pulling up in a regular whip.
Yeah. So that's... But by me knowing where I wanted the business to go, that was kind of a mistake in my part in the growth also. Like, I didn't need the van. And a lot of guys buy the vans even before their business gets jumping off because they think they need it. If I didn't need it, you for sure don't need it.
you didn't need the van, but I remember asking you when you were saying, I'm going to get this van. I asked you, I was like, yo, how much time is this going to save you? You said a lot.
Yeah.
And I already knew.
Yeah.
So it's not something like you didn't need the van. But
I could have done that to something else.
You had to be a boss. You had to be a boss first time.
I didn't. I had to learn. Fucking, I paid my dues.
Oh, you gonna learn?
Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with having the rig. In our rig, I customized that 100%. There was no. I didn't take it somewhere because that's all the cookie cutter shit, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But mine is completely convertible. Whatever I want to change, I can change it at any time. It's an open frame concept. That's all you need to know is anything is interchangeable at any time. So a lot of work and a lot of development went into the design of that, but it's been able to withstand how many different retro grades? We've probably switched that thing around at least 5-6 times since Sal's been, and probably more than that. We've installed different parts and pulled things off. We actually have a reel in there that I want to pull off that's just taking up space. So we're going through another rendition in 2025. I've already gotten different everything for it. So everything's going to get revamped to make things even faster. But it did make things a lot faster because I'm not having to pull anything out. That made a big.
The setup and breakdown?
Yeah. Just setup and breakdown.
You're saying like 30 minutes to 45 minutes setup and breakdown time. That's huge.
Just wrapping up lines. Just wrapping up lines used to take forever. The setup and the breakdown, that was a big deal. But there was
also the security. Everything was back of the Baja, man. You got to unload every night.
Well, that's another part, the loading and unloading. And for me, the loading and unloading, there was days where it sucked, but that was always incorporated. Also, that's still incorporated. It's always been incorporated in the labor. So if I had an employee, it's not like I'm going to pick them up. Like, you got to meet me over here. We're loading up. Like, that's part of the day because they need to know what we need. They become a part of the process.
That's the morning meeting right there.
Yeah.
Pippin.
You're letting them know what's going on. They're getting more familiar with the tools, if there's any upgrades. Because what happens when Nico works with us, as soon as he's here, we're letting him know anything that's new.
Yeah.
Hey, man, they can just...
Let the game plan is what we're going to focus on.
Yeah, we're not using this anymore. We're going to this. We're doing this process. And so it gives you a time to kind of warm up, And I think that's important because, okay, let's get right to work. It's like, hey, can you fold these towels real quick? Get these loaded up. It's kind of like a chill time in the morning to kind of, cool out and just get the day rolling. But yeah, there's many ways you can do it without the van.
That's it, my man. I think that's it for all. My ass is hurting, man. This chair is getting me. Oof. I think that's it, man.
All right.
Think parting shots. You got any parting shots? Like, subscribe, share.
Someone said only asking for one thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So you guys just do one of those.
Share.
One of those. Yeah. Share. That's that. No. Buy merch.
One thing. Okay.
Share.
You get
I'd rather
one thing.
you share. I'd rather if they you give one thing, I'll give one thing.
Comment.